Welcome back, everybody, to this week's episode of the DCL Duo podcast, brought to you by My Path Unwinding Travel. And Sam, do your jingle.
Yes, simply the best, better than all the rest.
There it is. There's the jingle, the review jingle. That's right. We have another 5-star review to read on the air this week. And I will once again apologize. I have sort of lost track. So if I'm reading a review we've already read, too bad.
You're
all
welcome.
Right, here we go. Here we go. This review comes from CNS.B, although the reviewer signed their review Charlie Brown. So great name. I love Charlie Brown. So there we go. Charlie Brown. And it reads, great podcast, best review ever, 432 Lookout Key. What an amazing review to take the time to walk the island explaining every step of the way, I think is what they're trying to say. No lunch break to give an in-depth view of the island. While it sounded like Disney isn't 100% ready, I am ready to check it out. Brian did a marvelous job painting the picture of the island. Can't wait to hear your review after you're able to relax. Charlie Brown. So thank you for that review. Finally, Sam, a review.
I know about you.
About me. I feel so proud. So if I read this one twice, it's only because, it's about me. So there you go.
I got to tell you, Brian, as soon as you started talking and reading the review, I was like, oh yes, a review about Brian, because I wasn't even on that episode. I wasn't even on that cruise. I didn't get to look out until a week later. So, but I'm okay with that.
The producer just gets the credits at the end, and that's all that's needed. So there you go. But thank you for leaving that review, Charlie Brown, and I really appreciate it. It was a fun review to give, and I did put a lot of effort into that one. So appreciate the recognition there. With that, just for everyone out there listening, remember the best way and the easiest way to help support our show, beyond supporting our sponsors like My Path Unwinding Travel and WDW Magazine for our live and bonus shows, is to head over to Apple Podcasts, hit those 5 stars, leave us a written review. We will read it on the air at the top of one of our main episodes. So head over there. Please do that. It helps us out a lot. With that.
Another way, though, to help our show is to become a Patreon. And we are joined by some Patreon members today. First time on the show, but listening for quite some time now, I believe, is Sonia and Russell. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
Yeah, we're so happy to have you. Now, we got to talk about your cruising background. You guys have now 5 cruises under your belt, I believe, 4 of which are on DCL. So getting close to gold there. But we got to rewind and say, what started the love with Disney? Where did that come from? We'll start with Sonia.
Well, I've always loved Disney World. Always loved them. In our family, it was when you were 5, you went. So I've been, as a kid, Disney World twice, Disneyland once. And then we have a blended family. So right after COVID, we decided to take the kids off for one big Disney trip. And then I think shortly after that was when the Disney Wish came out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. 2022 was that? Yeah.
Yeah. So our first Disney cruise is 2023. And Russell's a huge Star Wars fan. And then especially after everything at Hollywood Studios, and then, you saw the build-up for the Hyperspace Lounge, I was like, look, let's just go. Just me and you. We'll leave the kids at home. So we did.
Because our kids are old enough to be left alone. I just want to put that caveat in there. We're not abandoning our children.
You don't have preschool or elementary age kids.
They are long gone.
I love that. Now, Russell, tell us, where does your Disney love come from, and what's your Disney background?
So my Disney background, first of all, and this is the caveat, I'm a pop culture nut. So I collect music, I collect movies, I collect comic books. And so I've always been a big fan of the Disney-ish products, Star Wars, Marvel, that kind of thing. Because when I was young, this is in the 70s. That was the first time I ever went to Disney, and we drove from North Carolina to Florida in a bright orange Pinto with no air conditioning. And I will never, the trip was way more than Disney ever could possibly be. So that was my first big introduction to Disney. And then when Sonia and I started dating, she's like, "Do you like Disney?" I'm like, "Well, I like you, and so I like Disney." And but she like really said, "No, we're going to do some cool stuff." So we started doing Disney stuff, and I'm like, "Okay, I can go with this. I can love Disney. It's fine. It's not." I always grew up as a kid's thing. No, it's not really a kid's thing anymore. Now it's more for everybody. So that's why I really love Disney.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah. And I gotta say, I'm imagining you in the Pinto in the back seat with the dialing the window in order to open it, and I'm doing the motion if for those watching on video. Yeah.
No car seats for children whatsoever.
That's right.
It was
You
a
were
joke.
lucky if you had a seatbelt.
Exactly.
See, the only thing that makes that story better if it's in a station wagon and you're sitting in the rear seats. Those
Right, looking out the back.
yeah. Maybe with a little of the vacation music playing in the background,
I love it. I love it. Well, I gotta say, I do think I like that you called it Disney-ish because obviously Star Wars and Marvel are all a part of Disney now, but they didn't used to be. They used to be their own brands, completely separate, and Marvel still has some separation because of the whole Sony partnership and all of that. But yeah, it's interesting. I mean, we used to joke, I remember when the movie Anastasia came out in, I think it was the early 90s, and people thought it was a Disney movie and it wasn't. And guess what? Now it actually is a Disney movie
Right, because they bought it. You're exactly right.
yeah, so lots of stuff has sort of became a Disney movie. Well, you guys, you decided to venture outside the Disney bubble for this cruise to Alaska that we're going to be talking about today. You went on Holland America line, and I got to start with the question, why Holland America and why not Disney for this cruise?
So I listened to some episodes about Alaska with Disney, and it is quite pricey. And so we brought teen kids with us. My parents wanted to go with us to Alaska, and I know that they're not going to pay for Disney. And I figured since it was, port intensive, and also Holland America, I believe they were the first cruise line to go to Alaska. And because this trip was supposed to go to Glacier Bay when I booked, and supposed to. And we got it so early that I think I booked this in 2023 at the end. And we were able to get, it's called the Have It All package, and it comes with the elite drink package, all gratuities, $100 short excursion credit, specialty dinner, and Wi-Fi. And I think the total was like $4,000.
Wow. Yeah. That's a great price for an all-inclusive. I take it this was a week-long cruise, typical. Yeah.
From Vancouver, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I got to say, Holland America, their US branch is based here in the Seattle area. They do Alaska as I would say it's sort of the creme de la creme of Holland America's cruising is Alaska cruises. So I don't think you can go wrong. I know this is hard for, hearing from me. I don't think you can go wrong by booking on Holland, Princess, Norwegian, booking outside of Disney for Alaska because like you said, it is port intensive. Disney is charging a premium. I'm not saying I'm necessarily venturing outside of Disney, but I don't think you can make a mistake by doing that. Well, let's talk about some of the differences between like the booking. Like how far you said 2023 you were booking for a 2025 cruise. So, I mean, that's the start of a difference, right? You could book 2+ years in advance.
And just like what I do at Disney, I booked with a travel agent. So, I mean, that part was pretty similar. I like Disney, like the excursions and things like that. You can't, you pay for ahead of time. So as I booked, I either use that shore credit or you just have to pay it up front. But I think it was very similar. I think the only problem, I think that Disney's website is actually better for booking those pre-cruise activities that you can.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Well, and unlike Disney, you don't have a specific date that you can start booking activities. Like you book as they populate into the app or to the website. And it's one of those things where, as you said, you do prepay for all of these things. So like if you cancel something, you can cancel like an excursion or, dining or one of these add-ons, but you have to wait for it to get refunded from your credit card because you've already paid for it. So we've had the same experience with Royal. It's the same kind of setup. You paying as you're booking things. Now, did you notice things going on sale at different times leading up to the cruise or no?
No, it's not like Royal has that. I don't know if it's surge pricing or what, but when we went on Royal, I had to keep a spreadsheet of like, we paid this at this time, and like if something else popped up, see if it was. And that's kind of annoying to me, but everything stayed the same. I think I saw like some short excursions would book up quicker than others, and that's about it.
And one thing I want to note is when Sonia was doing this, she was doing it all on the website. The Holland America app, I'm going to say this, and it's going to sound rude, but I don't mean it rude. The app is pretty much useless until the day you are getting on the boat. The website is where you want to do everything until the day of your cruise. And that's a little bit different than we're used to, because with the DCL app, like I'm on there constantly before the cruise, and I'm looking at stuff and reading through stuff. That just does not exist on their app until the day of the cruise.
Right. And then when you get on, it populates with all the activities and all of that, right? So, but yeah, and I think that's a lot of the cruise lines, their app is more focused for on the cruise. Disney's might be the outlier in that. I'm not saying, I mean, you can book on, I know Virgin's app, there's some stuff you can book in the app, but like the interface is generally easier on the website than it is on the app, with the exception of Disney. And I'd say they're pretty similar with Disney. Either is just as easy as the other. Well, let's talk about travel. Where are you guys coming from? And you said you were sailing out of Vancouver.
So we came from North Carolina, Raleigh, North Carolina, and we flew into Seattle 4 days before our trip, because we had never been to the West Coast together. We'd always been to the West Coast, but separately. So we're like, well, let's make this a pretty interesting trip. So we went to Seattle for 2 days, and we toured around the city and looked at different things and had a good time there. We then went to Vancouver, and we went to Vancouver by train. So we took the train up the West Coast, and it was really nice to do that. Number one, when we hit the border between the United States and Canada, we really didn't have to do anything except have our passports out, and just they walked by and said thank you, and that was it. We were good that way. Then we spent 2 days in Vancouver. Sandy mentioned her parents went on the cruise with us. It was her mother's 70th birthday when we were in Vancouver, so we all went out to eat. We also had another couple that are friends of ours that went with us, and we met them in Vancouver and spent the days with them. So that was really nice. We had a good time hiking around, and separate podcast. Highly recommend anybody going to Vancouver. Very fun city. And then we stayed in the Pan Pacific, and it was, right next to the port. So when we woke up in the morning, we saw our boat was there. And so it was just really nice to be able to do those activities and see everything and not have to go somewhere else to get on the boat.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and you didn't even have to rent a car or anything, because you're one right there at the port. Two, you can take public transportation or Ubers throughout the city of Vancouver. It's pretty easy to get around. I mean, there's some free shuttles if you're staying near Canada Place, which is where the Pan Pacific is. You can take free shuttles to the Capilano Suspension Bridge or to Grouse Mountain. And so there's lots of stuff that you can get to pretty easily, I think, from there. Well, let's talk about Embarkation Day. How easy was it to get your luggage loaded onto the ship? I'm imagining Holland does like Disney and that they pick it up, or no?
Yeah, so we were able, when we checked in at the Bell, they asked if we were taking a cruise. Yes, and they gave us a little information sheet. And it was, you called them up, they came up and they took your bags, you give them a tip, and then
we didn't see them anymore. Now, because we worry all the time, quote, I worry all the time. we have air tags on our luggage. So when we're on the boat, I'm looking and saying, okay, is our luggage with us yet? And it finally was with us, and it really got on the boat quick, and we were very surprised by it.
Holland does their port arrival time very different. They want you to get there at 12. There's no like, this group, you have this time, you just check in online like months before, and they give you a boarding pass about a week before, and it just says, come at 12. So,
Everyone?
yes. I was really surprised. So, like we went down through the garage into the port, and, they just had this, because I think there was a princess ship there at the same time. So they really did a good job of kind of like walking you through. And then something that impressed us was there wasn't anybody at the VIP. So then the VIP check-in people, so they just had us go, they just so we didn't have to wait longer. We could go with the fancy people, and then, but it was pretty.
But it was very quick. I was very I've always considered, so we've done Royal Caribbean, we've done Carnival, we've done Disney is when we go with the most. And I've always been amazed at how quick Disney can get people on there. On the boat, Holland America was the exact same way. They were pulling out all the stops to make sure we're not going to have a backup of people, because they obviously knew. We said come at 12. There could be 2,000 people. There could be 3 people. We don't know. So they just made sure everybody was going constantly.
And I think we even got there a little bit early. My parents and our friends met us, since we were the only ones staying at the Pan Pacific. So, and you didn't have to, they let you go through anyway. And and when we got on, all the rooms were ready.
Yes.
That's really nice. At so you're if you're showing up at noon, you're on by 12:30 and your rooms are ready. That's fantastic. Well, and that's good. I mean, if they're having you come a little bit later than Disney maybe has you come, but everybody's room is ready, I mean, I'll take that trade-off, right? Because you can go right to your room and drop your stuff off rather than carrying it. I got to ask, what was the name of the ship that you were on with Holland? And then what were your impressions when you walked on the ship? Obviously, you don't have your family name announced. It's a little bit different. It's not, you don't have the fanfare that Disney does. But what was that like walking onto a Holland ship for the first time?
So we were on the Koningsdam, and that ship is one of their newer, it's the oldest of their newest class of ship, if that makes sense. To be honest, the entrance wasn't memorable because I don't really remember it.
They do not have an atrium. They did not have anything like that. So when we walked on, we were walking into restaurants, and it really was our friends who were with us, they had never been on a cruise ship, and they're like, what do we expect? And I'm like, oh, they're going to do this, and they're going to do that. And none of that occurred, It was all stuff from Disney, of course. And so I was talking to Sonia later, and I was like, well, we got on quick, but we're on.
Yeah.
That was basically it. It's okay, we passed all the checkpoints. We're good.
Yeah, it's definitely a different experience. We've seen the Koningsdam, I don't know how many times, tons of times. I feel like every time we're in San Diego for a Disney cruise, the Koningsdam is there. I don't know if it's the same day or the day before or the day after, right? It must be the day before, right? But either day before or the same day. I feel like we're always seeing that ship, but we've seen that ship, I don't know, at least a half dozen times every time we're in San Diego. I feel like it. But yeah, she looks like a nice ship. What did you guys think of the amenities on the ship? Obviously, we're probably not talking about themed in the same way as Disney's themed, but what did you think about the decor, the layout, and sort of what was actually offered on the ship itself?
It was very, I guess, classical, kind of more like the Fantasy than any other ship that we've been on. Fantasy has that kind of old world charm to it. It is music themed. So, we were on the 4th deck, and that was the Beethoven deck, and they had a lot of cool, music-themed art, but it was just very clean, not really flashy.
It definitely was not flashy, and you could have taken the name Holland off of it and put any other thing. There was nothing there that told me I was on a Holland America tour cruise ship. It just was like your basic cruise ship. There was nothing really that stood out. Like Sonia said, I mean, it was just, I don't like to use the word basic, but that's the only thing there's nothing that told me I'm on Holland America unless I went in a store and saw a Holland America hat.
Oh, it's very, very nice.
But very nice. They're not bad.
You could tell it was like a higher tier ship, because I think it's under the Carnival Corporation, and so I think it's like their luxury brand. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the Carnival Corporation owns several cruise lines, and Carnival line is their budget line, right? But like their other lines are more mid or luxury level, I would say. And so,
what was your impression of the demographics on the ship? Were there families with kids? Was it mostly adults? Yeah, what was that like?
So I'm going to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, Sonia, I would say at the most there were 20 children on this cruise ship. There was 3,000 people, 20 children. The majority, we had this very conversation sitting on the boat. I would say the ages, probably 80% was 50 years and above.
I think 60 years and above.
60 years and above, yeah. And it was it was just the way it was laid out. And because of that, it's very interesting you say that, Brian, because of that demographic, I am convinced that the way the ship was because, yes, it was an older cruising group. So there really wasn't that much too flashy, because I think they knew when the hours were, what people were going to do. Now, with that being said, it was not stale and it was not mothballs. There was still a lot to do, but it really was an older crowd, and we had to mentally adjust to that while we were cruising, because we had never seen that before. Like every once in a while, I would see like a teenager somewhere, and they looked absolutely bored beyond belief. I mean, truthfully, I hate to say it, but they did, and their parents were with them, and like it reminded me of when I was 17 years old and would go on trips with my parents to see like some architecture thing, and you would just sit there and be like, "Why am I here? I don't want to be here." And it's like I just looked at these kids, and I was like, really don't want to be here, but you're going to talk about this forever.
Yeah. Well, and it's I'm assuming, correct me if I'm wrong, no climbing wall, no go-karts, no flow rider, no water slides, right? There's a pool, there might even be two pools, but they don't have these active things that teens or older kids would be interested in doing on the ship itself.
Correct. I mean, there's not even, like, I went searching at one time for like an arcade just to play like a video game. No arcade. No, the other thing that really amazed me was no sports bar.
Oh, interesting. I didn't even think about that. Like, I kind of assume that other cruise lines have at least a sports bar. So if there's like a big game happening, you'd have some place to go watch and maybe order some chicken wings or something. And that's a thing, obviously,
on this was at the beginning of college football. So, a few people were looking for that. And me and the buddy we were with, we went looking, and I'm like, dude, this is where it should be, and it's not here. And I was like, and he's like, so do these cruise ships have sports bars? I'm like, yes, I could take you to a dozen right now. I'm like, but this one doesn't. And it was very odd. I was very surprised by that.
What about the evening entertainment? As you mentioned, an older crowd. So it's also an Alaska cruise, which is a more active cruise. So people are, in general, not staying up super late like they might in the Caribbean. But what was the nightlife or an entertainment like in the evenings?
So the big thing for Holland America is they have something called the Music Walk. And so they had one venue, and it was called Billboard, and there were dueling pianos, and then like right across was Rolling Stone, and it was like rock and roll
live band,
and then like a little bit down the hall was BB King Blues Lounge. And so the music was really good, and they kind of like just ping pong back and forth. There was the dueling pianos going on with like Billy Joel, Elton John, the Rolling Stones. It was like Beatles.
More rock and roll stuff.
Like what we call classic rock, but I think what we listen to, the present classic rock. So there wasn't really like I didn't really hear anything from the 90s, so it was like 80s.
60s, 70s, 80s. Yeah.
So you would have that would start probably about 9:30 ship's time. Before that, they did have a wide stage theater, and it was really nice. And before that, they would have like during the day. That's where, and this is something you don't have on Disney cruises. During the day, they would have lectures about different things in Alaska and different animals and why did the Iditarod start and things like that. And so we would go to a few of those, and they were interesting. But, once again, they knew their audience. So this is why they have it. At night on the stage area, they would have, like, one night, I think the first night they had a John Denver singer. And then another night they had a comedy magician. Another night they had a dance company. So they would always have something, basically, this is going to last till 9 o'clock. And so some people would go to bed after that. And then some people would stay up. And surprisingly, a lot of people would stay up for like the rock music and stuff, because we would go there and it would be packed every night. And like Sonia said, one area would quit playing and say, we'll be back in 30. The other area would start playing at that point. So you can get up and move there. Or they were so close, you really could stay in one place and hear everything if you wanted to.
And these are very active seniors, I'll have to say that. I mean, people were dancing every night on the dance floor. I mean, it's kind of really fun. And so on our cruise, I don't know if it's because it was like late September, but it was mostly Europeans and Australians on our ship. But I mean, they just had and I did too. It was fun.
Yeah, it was an older crowd, but a lively older crowd, not a asleep in their chairs older crowd. Yeah, I like that. What about casino? I always have to ask because on obviously all the other cruise lines have casinos. Was it a big casino, a small casino? Was that packed?
It was a big, I would say it was a medium-sized casino. I've seen, I'm not going to try to compare it to one of the big ships. And of course, Disney doesn't have a casino, but I would say it was a medium casino. It was 2 floors, and it would get busy. Normally, if we were at sea in the afternoons, it would get busy. In the evenings, it would be somewhat busy. We went a little bit. I stay out of casinos because I don't gamble a lot, and I'm an ex-smoker, and so casinos seem to attract. They allow that. So, but I wouldn't say there was ever a lot of people in the casinos.
Not really.
It wasn't. There were people in there, but at the same time, I saw a lot of tables that were empty and a lot of people just standing around. I'm on the job. Don't have anything to do, and it just seemed the people that were interested in that went to that, but it wasn't the whole boat.
What about food on board? It's a big part of cruising. How was the food? Did you experience some of the main dining? And I don't know how Holland does the specialty restaurants.
So we did main dining, and another feature of Holland America is they have a global fresh fish program. So if you like seafood, it's a good place. And they would source local fish at each port. So they had salmon one night, halibut another night. It's pretty good. You could get, I don't think Disney has add-ons, but some other cruise lines do, at main dining. But Morimoto, the Iron Chef, he had some dishes there, and he has a sushi restaurant there.
I need to go on this ship because I love Chef Morimoto. I'm a huge fan of his ribs are my favorite ribs, and I love all of his food. Yeah.
Well, he had an exo, was it halibut?
Yes.
It was phenomenal. And it was awesome. I think it was a $25 add-on, and I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, I love halibut too. So all of that.
Yeah, the food was great. Couple of the main places we went to when we were eating. First of all, they had next to the pools, they had poolside burgers, pizza. Same thing you see on most cruises, but the really great thing about that is with their app, you can order it and have it delivered to you where you are. So it really makes it easier to find a place, because we didn't get in the pool a lot just because you're in Alaska. And so mentally it's cold. And even though it's inside, it's heated, it's not it is by no means cold. Still mentally, we just couldn't figure it out. But the other places they have that's really nice is they have the Grand Dutch Cafe, which is specialty coffees. And they only have one area of specialty coffees. And I always thought that was really weird, but it always had a huge line. And part of that was included on our drink package. So we could go there and get our specialty coffees, but the line was huge. We had one misstep while we were there.
They had, kind of like Cove Cafe had snacks.
Right.
They had snacks and you could get a sandwich. And so was another place. And then I guess there are Dutch pastries on there, but there was called like a bocce ball. And it's like a baseball sized cream puff covered in chocolate. So that was their big thing. And then a huge apple pie. But I would say that would be like Cove Cafe on there was on there. And then their buffet, just like the Wish, you're served. So that was nice too.
Yes.
Yeah. What was the food? Was the food quality good in the buffet?
I thought so.
I thought it was really good. It was. Now, the whole thing about the buffet was it was really spread out. So you, like most of them, we've learned through cruising, go to the back end and work your way forward, just because then you can see everything. But it was very spread out. The buffet food was good. I loved getting, one of the things I always do for breakfast is I get a big bowl of fruit and then I get my proteins. And everything was really nice. It was nothing like I think that I bit into and was like, no, not this.
I will say that there is no soft serve ice cream on this ship.
None.
They have it hard scooped, and that was at the buffet, and you could get as much. But they also made, they would change every day. So there would also be a crepe station. Yeah. But the best day was the last day when it was cake day. And they had probably 15 different cakes, and they were the tall, I think I got a 11-layer chocolate cake, but they had creme brulee, short, any kind of cake that you could think of. And that was the day that I wished I didn't eat any lunch, and I just ate cake. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Was the buffet open all day? I'm imagining yes, but I don't know.
I think it would close a little bit between, I know definitely for sure between lunch and dinner.
Oh, to change over. But I mean, it was open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then kind of late into the evening, or later into the evening than obviously Disney. Yeah.
Right. Yes, it was. We did go to, in other dining, we did go to one of the specialty dinings, the Pinnacle Grill. That was more of their steakhouse, and it was good. I would say that the steakhouse and the restaurants on Disney were better than that.
Palo's better.
Palo is better.
Remy is amazing. Right. So nothing will ever
compare to that. But it wasn't that bad. Yeah. But it was like a typical steakhouse. Nothing really stood out about it.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like, from your perspective, the regular food, meaning the included food, was at least on par with Disney's, if not better, it sounds like in some areas.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, I would definitely say that. The one advantage Disney always has over us, because we're big seafood eaters, is the shrimp and the crab legs, and that whole setup they have there, which you don't see on any other cruise ship. But with that being said, the food on Holland America was still excellent. It was on the buffet. It was not bad at all, and there was plenty of it, and they were recycling it quick, and there did not appear to be any weight whatsoever on popular items.
And something interesting that they did too is we got to Juneau at 1, so they did the main dining. It was an express lunch, and you could either get fish and chips or I think it was soup.
Right.
And that's all they served, so everybody could come in. But you could get our friend got both. The waiter's you want everything? He's yes. When we want a beach, and there were 2 things. But
well, that's nice. I mean, you still have the buffet as an option, but yeah, if you want to get a quick lunch, but a sit-down lunch, that's a nice option. That brings us to the ports. Let's talk a little bit about the ports, and also about Glacier Bay. You were supposed to go to Glacier Bay. When did you find out you weren't going to Glacier Bay? Was it on the ship or was it before?
We got an email about mid-2024 saying that our itinerary changed. I think I had read that the Park Service had went from 3 passes to 2. So I think we were a casualty of that. But some people on the ship were surprised. Like in the Facebook group, someone said something like, you know, why didn't they tell us? But other people said, well, we got this email, and our friends who had booked after us, like they asked, why didn't you go to Glacier Bay? And we did think about changing it, but we got such a phenomenal deal on it. I read like there's still times that it can get canceled. So we did Endicott, Arms and Dawes Glacier.
Nice. Same as us. Same as us. Well, let's talk about that. So you leave Vancouver. Your first quote unquote port of call is Endicott Arm Dawes Glacier. Your glacier days at the beginning of the cruise, or not, or later on?
It was Juneau was first.
Oh, okay. You guys did a different, different order. Okay, tell us. Let's start with Juneau then. What did you guys get up to in Juneau?
So we did the sled dogs and mushers camp, which I think was in the Tongass forest. So I think you guys went like on the glacier down below. It's kind of like a golf cart that the dogs pull you around. And
yes, you're on like a dirt track. You're at their like a base camp that's not up on the glacier. So the only ones that you can do where you do it on the glaciers, you got to take a helicopter to get there. So, and that's limited and it gets canceled a lot. So a lot of people I think choose the excursion that you're talking about in the Tongass rainforest, and Disney offers, I'm sure it's the same one. It's probably the same company even, where you go to the musher camp and you meet the dogs, you meet the puppies, you get to go on, you get to go on a sled, but it's around a track. What did you guys think of that excursion?
It was good. We loved it. Number one, I love talking to like these people about, tell me more about what you do. What is the weight? How do you get fed? And the whole crew there was just outgoing and would sit there and talk to you about, like, if we had stayed 4 hours, I'm pretty sure I could have talked about sled dogs for 4 hours. It was very, very good. Sonia loved it because after we rode, like you mentioned, she got to hold the puppies. So she went over and she picked up the puppies, and like the first one she picked up tried to crawl into her coat because it was raining when we got there. And even though it was raining, it really wasn't that bad because we had expected it. So that was like wonderful. And the whole thing lasted maybe 2 hours?
I think it was like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, but it went by very quickly.
I chose shorter excursions for us because I really wanted to explore the area. So we got the first one out, and I think we were back in Juneau by 3:30 or 4.
Oh, sorry, I'm on mute. I was saying you guys got to Juneau at like 1, so you had still time to walk around after. And yeah, I think it kind of depends on what port you're going to and whether or not you want to do that longer excursion or that shorter excursion and how much you want to explore, right? Like if you want to explore the city of Juneau or the city of, Ketchikan or what, like you've got to have some time, although Juneau is obviously a lot bigger. The others are all the other ports in Alaska that the cruise ships tend to go to are a lot smaller. But yeah, you want to have some time, I think, to walk around the port as well. What was your second port of call in Alaska?
It was Skagway, and we did the White Pass Railroad, and they do pick up at the port for Holland America.
Ah, you were right there. Nice.
Right. So we got on that and we went up, and that was just amazing. I have a big camera that I took with us for photographs. I took like probably over 1,000 photographs on this trip. I'm still going through them. I got some of the pictures I got from White Pass Railroad. I've showed my friends, and they're like, that is amazing. They're like, these photos are incredible. And it was just simply amazing to be on that.
Yeah. Now, did you do a round trip, or did you do a one-way get off and do something else? What was yours?
We did the round trip. I think that was 3 hours, 3.5 hours, which is kind of neat because you could see both sides of everything.
Yeah, because you get to turn around. So then even if you're on one side of the train, so we made sure that we had Brian and Nathan on one side of the train and me and my mom on the other side of the train, so we could at least get pictures from both sides. We learned very quickly. We only went on the heading north, right? So learned very quickly. You kind of, if you're going north, you want to be on the left-hand side. Most of the stuff is on the left-hand side. But if you're going south, you probably want to be on the right-hand side. So yeah.
The other thing to mention about the train trip is it is cold. The windows do get steamed up. So we were doing a lot of wiping of windows when we were sitting inside. And then when it was time to take pictures, we would walk outside of the train itself, because you could take pictures from the inside, but there's no way you're going to see everything because of how foggy the windows get.
Yes, yeah. And you even if it's not foggy, you get a glare off the windows like we had with the sun. So because we were lucky to have warmer weather, but it was still, you got this glare from the sun. So you'd have this reflection in your picture that would not be very good through the glass. So yeah, getting out and going onto like sort of the balcony. But I will say, if you're going to do that, make sure you've got some kind of strap for your camera that's around your wrist, or even for your phone, some kind of strap or even a pop socket, something like, because that train moves and you might drop and lose your electronic device.
You are 100% correct. The other thing to mention is, if you go on this excursion and you go outside to take photos, remember a lot of other people want to take photos. When you're outside, take your photos and give it to somebody else for a chance, because there was a lot of people who basically camped outside, and we were like, okay.
Yes, there's only so much room on that balcony, and
exactly.
Yeah, and you only have one balcony of the one sort of at the front of your car. The one behind you is the other cars. Well, let's talk about your next port of call. Or did you have your glacier day, or did you have?
That was our glacier day, and they went down. They had a naturalist on board, and he gave talks, and you could put it on the channel on the TV where it showed the bow camera. And so I got a cabin that on the fourth deck, and I also think I see this on Disney, it's wider because it's on the fourth. But ours was double wide too, because there was a fire locker and fire equipment between our room and my parents' room. So we were able to open that up, and we had like a good bit.
We had a huge balcony.
So we hung out there for Glacier Day. We could open the door and hear the naturalist talk. And then our friends, they were in Ocean View, and she went out, they opened the bow, and she said, like, she came back, she said people are getting really aggressive out there. So she came to us, and then I'm not sure if Disney does it, but they kind of stopped on one side. So like one side of the ship could see the glacier, and then they just turned, and then they left. And so that was really neat. But my parents said, spending the money for the veranda was worth every penny just for that Glacier Day.
Yeah, I think unless you're going to really spend all your time on Glacier Day up on the top deck, or you're going to go and do one of the boat excursions, right? I think that the veranda, that I agree. I think the one place a veranda makes the most sense. I'm not saying it doesn't make sense in other places. Some people love a veranda to have coffee in the morning in the Caribbean. That's not me. But I think for Alaska, it's the most valuable to have that veranda. All right. Well, you had probably one more port of call.
Yes, we went to Ketchikan, and we toured around a lot there. Russell had looked at breweries in Alaska beforehand, so him and his buddy, they went to breweries. I went to called the Saxon Native Village Dance Performance and Totem Park, and that was really cool. They took you to the Klingit village. You went to their lodge, I think it was called, and they did a dance. I was invited to come up and dance with them. That was fun. And then we went to the Totem Park, and they kind of explained each of the different totem poles. And then we got to go inside to where one of the artisans was carving and tell us about that. And the fun thing, I thought, this excursion was at 3:30, so like kids were out, and so like during the dance, one like toddler came out with her with like a little phone going up to the mom who was dancing, and mom's like, all right, come on, go back. And then like this other little boy who's probably like 10 or 11 was like an additional tour guide. It was really fun.
Oh, that's so cute. Yeah, they're out of school for the day. That's awesome. I love that.
What about like other big differences between Holland and Disney? What else stood out to you?
They did have mascots, but they were not as good as, Mickey or Minnie. There was an otter. You just can't. I'm a theater person. And so there was no theater to be, not even like, even on Royal or Carnival will have like, here's a rock and roll show. No, there was none of that. They had like a dance company, but it's more like watching a like So You Think You Can Dance performance. That like the theming wasn't there.
I never felt like so. The people who were working on the boat did a great job, but there's a big difference between working for Holland America and being a cast member for Disney. And the way, and Sonia and I talked about this. So the cruise director, she was good, but really she was more doing the naturalist stuff, the like serious discussions and things like that. The assistant cruise director was great. She was at trivia, she was at the music venues, she was out there getting everybody pumped up. And I was just looking at Sonia, and I'm like, if we were on a Disney cruise, these roles would be so reversed right now. This like makes no sense. Why I don't know the cruise director, but the assistant cruise director is awesome. And I really felt like that was like a major difference, is just seeing how the people working for Holland America were so different. They did a great job, don't get me wrong, but they just were not at like at the end of a Disney cruise, you know people's names. I could not have told you anybody's names, but I could tell you they all had that I had a great time with them for the week.
I mean, they were great. Like we had 2 cabin stewards, and you got like the twice a day service, which I really liked. I would say, when you're on a Disney cruise, like the vibe is fun, exciting, full of activities. This was more of a relaxing, chill vibe. I think
way laid back.
Very laid back, very relaxed. It was very informative. Like the programming that they had, like the lectures that they had, it was great. Like to tell you everything, all you wanted to know about Alaska. But there wasn't like a ton of like fun activities. I guess. I mean, like watching a documentary, but it's just different. Chill. There was trivia, but it wasn't
as good as Disney trivia.
Yeah, so different brand of fun, different kind of fun, and a little more education and music focused fun than shows and characters and whimsy kind of fun.
Correct.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I gotta point out something you said, which is the twice a day room service, because Disney is one of the few who does that. So that's kind of nice to know that Holland also does that. A lot of the other cruise lines have gone to once a day service. At least I know Royal and Carnival only do once a day. Those are the big ones I can think of. Yeah. So that's kind of a nice Virgin. At least I don't know if they do it across the cruise line or if it was just because we were in Rockstar that we had twice a day. But I just don't know. But yeah, that's kind of a unique thing, I'd say.
And a minor difference is that you get a towel or a blanket animal every night at Disney and not at Holland.
Sonia's a big fan of her towel animals, and she was like, why do we not have towel animals?
God, I'm like twice.
I'm mad for you, Sonia. I am. I am a towel animal person too. I need a new one every single day. I will tell you, even on Royal Caribbean, you get a new towel animal every day. So, step it up, Hal. Come on. Is there anything that we've missed that we haven't covered about your cruise on Holland? We got to ask you actually a big question, which is, would you sail Holland America again?
I think so.
I mean, I did put down a deposit, so they're like feature cruise. You can use it within 4 years, and just kind of like Disney, if you don't use it, it comes back. I think what we're looking at is we want to go to Europe in the fall, right? And like Italy in particular, and I think Disney at the same time is doing the Norway cruises. So that's something we're looking at. They also go to Asia. And I think that's where like the benefit of like the documentary type lectures would come in. If you're going somewhere that you've never been before, I think that's very helpful to learn about things.
Yeah. And the more port intensive cruises where you're not spending as much time on the ship. And so you don't maybe need some of that trivia and shows and stuff that you would want if you're in the Caribbean or, Bahamas or something like that. At least that's what that's how I'm taking it from you guys, that there's a place in your cruising vacation style that this fits in, but it's not, it may be a different place than where Disney fits in.
Yes, exactly. That's a really good way to put it. Sonia and I had a conversation when we were coming back on the trip, and I said, "So where would you place this in our trips? We've done Carnival, we've done Royal Caribbean, we've done Disney." And she's like, "Well, Disney's first." I'm like, "Yeah, Disney's first." And she goes, "I would probably put House second because it really, even though it was laid back, even though there wasn't the excitement, it's still, the food was good, the atmosphere was good when I wanted it to be there. When I didn't want it to be there, it was fine. And it never really, I was not disappointed in anything that we did on the cruise."
And did you think that it was like, I always like to try to frame the question of, Holland America cruise cost X, Disney cruise costs X plus whatever premium, so did you feel like you got the full, do you feel like maybe put it this way, would going on Disney have been worth the premium to you for this cruise? Or it sounds like you were just fine.
Not for Alaska.
Not for Alaska. Okay.
I think, and I think we agreed, it was fine without the Disney, but we're going on to Disney cruises next year. So we are coming back home. We are not by any way going to be leaving Disney.
Yeah, fair. Sam, any last questions you have before I hand them back over to you for some rapid fire?
No, I think I'm ready.
All right. Well, then we have reached that point in the show where I need you to hand you back to Sam for some arbitrary questions, some arbitrary rules, and a dash of judgment of the round we know as rapid fire. Sam, take it away.
All right. I'm going to do a regular rapid fire since this is your first time on the show. I'm not going to do a versus because I think you've also answered a lot of the versus questions throughout this discussion that we've had. And, obviously, who wins and on service and food and all these things. I think I got an idea of where you're at with that. So we're going to do standard rapid fire. I'm going to ask you some regular Disney favorites, and then I'm going to ask you some Disney Cruise Line favorites. And of course, I got to start with, who is your favorite Disney character? I'm going to start with Russell for this question, and I have a feeling it's going to be a Star Wars character. But
it is not a Star Wars character. My favorite character is Scrooge McDuck.
Nice.
I love it. What about you, Sonia? Is it Stitch? You're wearing a Stitch sweatshirt? I love it. Oh, Hannah. All right. Well, what is your favorite Disney movie? Again, Disney means everything that Disney owns. We'll start with you, Sonia.
Lilo and Stitch. Animated.
Yeah, yes, obviously, right? All right, Russell, what about you?
I'm going to go with a Disney favorite, Aristocats.
Oh, nice. All right. Have you guys been on the Treasure yet?
We are going in April of next year.
Nice. Fantastic. All right. You're going to love it. Okay. Favorite Disney song, Russell?
Oh, gosh. Favorite Disney song. Oh, it's from The Jungle Book. It's King Louis song. I want to be like you.
I want to be like you. Ooh, I want to walk like you.
Classic.
Yes. That's a great song. All right. Sonia, your favorite?
I got Friends on the Other Side.
Oh, nice. Love it. All right. Let's go to Disney Cruise Line. You can pick from any of the ships that you've been on. So let's start with your favorite Disney Cruise Line show, meaning stage show in the Walt Disney Theater. Sonia, I have to start with you since you're a show person.
Frozen.
Awesome. Nice. All right, Russell?
It's Frozen. They had when we saw this show, they had a guest from Broadway performing on it, and it was so good. It blew us away.
It's so good. It's such a good production. I've said this before on the show. I'll say it again. I think Frozen on DCL is better than the Broadway version and better than the version that they had in DCA in the parks. All right. Favorite activity on a Disney cruise, Russell?
Favorite activity? Oh, it's got to be trivia. There is nothing better than playing any trivia. Sonia will go wait by the pool. I'll go get a beer and we'll play trivia.
Love it. Sonia?
The dance party with all the characters. That's so much fun.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. All right. Favorite rotational dining restaurant? Sonia, we'll start with you.
Hey, that's hard. Animator's Palette.
Absolutely. All right. Russell?
Arendelle.
Arendelle.
The
I couldn't
frozen.
remember the name.
He was, for those not watching the video, Russell was whispering to Sonia for some help, for some assistance on this question. All right. I'm going to ask you a favorite sweet item and a favorite savory item on a Disney cruise. We're going to start with the sweet because the savories are the best. So, Russell, what's a favorite sweet item? And by the way, soft serve is an appropriate answer.
Soft serve is appropriate. I've got to go with anything with gelato because their gelato is so good.
So good. Yes, absolutely. Palo has fantastic gelato. They serve it with your souffle, but you can also just get it on its own if you want. All right, Sonia, your favorite sweet item.
The Embarkation Day Oreo cheesecake.
Yes, and only the original one, the one that's in the regular shape of a triangle. They have this new one that looks like a little weird pastry thing. It's not good. Yeah. Yeah, it's only, I think that one's on the Wish class, but on the older ships they still have the triangle version. Yeah.
On the
Yes, I will.
All right, savory item, Sonia.
I like the scallop puff thing from Arendelle. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's super good. Russell?
That's the same thing. That's exactly. I like the puff with the scallops in it. It is so good.
It is a really good dish. Yeah. All right. Remy versus Paulo. And you can even pick like Remy dinner, Remy brunch, or lunch, I guess now. And Enchante also is in the mix there. And Paulo brunch, Paulo dinner. Which one is the favorite? Which one wins all? Russell, we'll start with you.
It's Remy.
Yeah. Remy dinner. Yeah. Sonia?
Remy dinner.
Yeah. Fantastic. All right. The most important question of all. Which one is your favorite ship? You can only choose from a ship that you've been on. So, Sonia, we'll start with you.
The Fantasy.
Russell?
100% agree. It's the Fantasy. The Art Deco in the Fantasy is just amazing, hands down.
Yeah, it's a beautiful ship. All right. Your bucket list cruise. You could go anywhere in the world on a Disney ship. It doesn't even have to be someplace Disney currently goes. Where are you going, Russell?
It would have to be cruising the Mediterranean with Disney because we want to go to the Mediterranean. I want to go to the Mediterranean so bad. That would be it.
Sonia, what about you?
So Holland and other places have the 28-day cruises. So I would like to do all the Asian Disney parks, but then also go to Bali and like around there and then like back up.
I love it. That would be my fantasy cruise as well. Sonia, fantastic. All right, you guys. You both get A's, pass with flying colors, no judgment. Thank you for letting me subject you to my rapid fire. I always appreciate it. I love when people are good sports about it. You mentioned you're going in April on the Treasure, and you have another cruise booked. What's the other cruise that you've got booked?
We're gonna do Halloween on the high seas on the Dream next October.
Oh, next October. Awesome. Okay, so you've got April on the Treasure and then October on the Dream. Fantastic. Well, we've got to tell you, got to come back on the show and give us your review of the Treasure. Whenever somebody is, trying out one of the newer ships in the fleet, we always love to hear impressions, especially from experienced cruisers. So definitely join us for that. And with that, we'll just say thanks for coming on the show, you guys. We really appreciate it.
Thanks so much. We appreciate it.